Wait a minute. May I actually have it? More copies of new releases than ever before. What's going on around here, huh? Go home happy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to BrainBuster Video, the podcast. I'm your host and owner of BrainBuster Video, Zach Romero. Joining me here on the sales floor is our general manager, Miss Luna Lynn. Luna, thank you so much for joining us once again on the show.
Yum, yum, yum.
And so for today's episode, for the month of October, our favorite little movie theater, the Sunray, almost had to call it Sundance. The Sunray Cinema in Tampa is doing...
The Sunray Film Festival.
Yes, is doing a horror film festival. And they're playing a bunch of different horror movies on the big screen throughout the month of October. So the first stop for us was Robert Eggers The Witch from 2015. And this is my first time seeing it. Luna is a fan of it. And so we're just going to talk a little bit. But to give the quick synopsis...
Okay, so The Witch is a period piece. It is set in a colonial, puritanical kind of environment. We open with the film to see this family sort of getting berated in front of the town, and getting judged, essentially. And the thing is, I'm not really sure which way it's leaning, because they're condemning the father for his, religious outbursts, I guess. So I don't know if he's trying to be stricter than they are.
Yes.
Okay, so, because that's the only thing that I wasn't sure about, because it was they're strict as shit anyway, so, is he even more
Yes.
radical than them? Okay.
So he's how, why the Pilgrims came over to the New World was because they wanted to get weird and religious. He wants to out weird and religious the Pilgrims. He's that, because he says in the beginning about, all I'm trying to do is teach, the real gospel of the Lord or whatever. So it's he's wanting to be more strict than even the strict people are. And so that's why they're like, hey, man, you're harsh on the buzz. You got to go.
Yeah, Dad was like, is anybody going to match my freak? And they were like,
You got to go.
So we're disbanding, banishing. We're banishing.
Yep.
I'll get there. I just got to go through the Rolodex. We're banishing y'all. Have a nice life. Good luck. So they go to they find this clearing through the forest.
Right.
Whatever.
Outside of the woods.
Yeah, outside of the woods. There's this little valley, and then we see that they build a homestead, and they've got a little barn, and they figure out some animals and shit. Okay, great for them. But clearly we set the scene that it is a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
There's mom, dad, and we start with 2, 3, 4 kids? 4 or 5 kids?
4 kids.
4 kids?
And then Will Samuel's number 5.
Yeah. So, bountiful family. And not a lot of, bounty to go around. This is clearly much more difficult than they had anticipated. I wouldn't necessarily describe it that they were cursed by the witch. I think that they happened to be there, and the witch took advantage. But it is a really excellent depiction of sort of just a, slow saunter into madness and isolation and desperation and what that does to people, especially in the context of a puritanical and, frankly, quite fanatically religious society.
100% agree. So one thing that I really, really think is interesting about this film is that it works on it's telling 2 different stories at the same time, and they are both equally valid. Story number 1, and this is something that Robert Eggers did say, story number 1, the movie is 100% real. Meaning this takes place in the Puritan times where witches are real, and this is really all happening. But it's also telling the story of what happens when you isolate your family and you are so unbelievably religious. What does that do to a family? And like you said, it's just slow rolling into madness.
Yeah.
I will say that I think this could be considered historical horror, because Robert Eggers goes out of his way to make things so authentic that that's half the story. Because just them just struggling because the dad is a fucking asshole and is 100% pride. Pride gets them kicked out. Pride is why the bounty sucks, because he thinks he's a better farmer than he actually is.
That's pride fucking with you.
He can't hunt for shit. All he does well is chop wood. That's the only thing he's got. And it isn't that important.
That is one of my favorite things, is once we kind of call attention to that, then you notice more the
ungodly piles of
Yeah,
wood that has
the
been
firewood pile is like practically taller than the house. Like one thing we got on lock is wood. And I get that it's like I need to hit something that isn't my wife.
Right,
I'm gonna
true,
go chop. This
true.
is like stress relief and a way to get out like that kind of aggression and stuff.
It's
But
also kind of a boner killer. It made me
Yeah.
laugh because it kind of there's a couple of scenes where we kind of treat chopping wood like a cold shower.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like I gotta go, and it's just chopping wood.
Yeah.
I heard the name 1,000 times, but I keep screwing it up every time I go to say it. It's Thomason, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So that's our main character, Anya Taylor-Joy. So Thomason is like babysitting little baby Samuel, and in the middle of peekaboo, the baby is gone, and we can't figure out what happened. And wouldn't you know it, a goddamn witch snuck out and grabbed the baby, and that was one thing I was... All right, so two things. Number one, originally the movie was supposed to start on that scene, the peekaboo scene.
Oh, okay.
That was how we were going to start the movie.
Mhm.
I think we could have. That scene is so alarming
Yeah.
and so well done that like I really think you could have done it. But I guess Robert Eggers wanted to spend more time with like the fam, like we wanted to establish the family a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I was stunned that for the characters, what happened to little baby Samuel is a mystery. But to us, the audience, there is no mystery.
Mhm.
We see that baby get filet-o-fished in like 2 minutes. And I was like, yo, this is crazy.
Well, I did enjoy the, like you mentioned, as far as like the period accuracy and stuff like that, that we see her putting it on the broom.
Yes.
Because like that's a very like folklore witchy thing of like not necessarily putting like cream to baby on it, but like that it was typically some sort of like opiate or a drug concoction, and so that's why like flying high on the broom like is actually drug related because they hadn't invented quaaludes yet.
Well, and that's there
Broom symbology in it.
there is some like lore of that as well, of like, oh, you have to put like either baby fat or and whatever guts of an unbaptized baby that had like magical elements. You know, blah blah blah. So it's like, oh Lord, it's very gruesome. So I was pretty shocked about that. I was like, holy shitballs, because you kind of picture almost like a Disney movie. Like, oh, like I'm expecting the goddamn Goblin King to be like, I have a baby. Like, not, ooh, the baby got kidnapped and we're done with the baby. That's not coming back.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
But it helps to like really cement for us of like, oh, this is not a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
This is not like a oopsie daisy kind of thing. Like serious shit's going on. So baby Samuel gets taken and that kind of kicks us off in terms of like the big unraveling. And, you know, then the older brother, Caleb, he goes out into the woods to try to like gather food. He gets seduced by the witch and dies. The two youngins, the two little like almost twins, Jonas and Merce, are quote unquote possessed and eventually they get eaten.
My favorite thing is how everybody says Mercy's name.
Merce, yeah.
Mercy.
Yeah. And then Dad's prideful wood chopping does him in, along with Black Phillip. And then, you know, the mom gets killed off too. Which, by the way, hypocrisy obviously is a very big thing in this movie.
Yes.
The father is a hypocrite and blah, 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 blah. I think top tier hypocrisy comes from the mom, who is actively yelling at Anya Taylor-Joy and calling her a slut and like, oh, you were going to steal your dad from me. Meanwhile, chewed up nipple from Black Phillip. Like, actively, nipple has been chewed upon.
Well, it was the crow, not the goat. But
Well, no, but the witchiness of it, it's like the crow and the bunny and a lot of animals. There's a lot of animals.
what?
I was a little Noah's Ark of the devil. So what is a highlight for you in this film? Like, what really stands out to you? What makes this film special to you that you're like, I am definitely a fan of this movie?
Well, as somebody who always has a penchant for the witchier things in life, I think obviously the overall story is very good. As somebody who has that sort of like religious trauma-esque, you know, period in time, which thankfully I wasn't like fully raised on that, but you know, having been involved in that kind of a situation where, you know, it's very church forward and well, we have to just pray on it and you know, you just have to have faith in God. And just sort of being able to like, hey, fuck this, by the way. Like, sometimes you have to fucking take care of yourself. Like, one of the scenes that's really poignant to me is like the parents are kind of having that conversation of like, "Ooh," like you can kind of tell that clearly there's not a lot of food to go around here. And things are starting to get tense. And then the dad's like, well, tomorrow we'll fast to like atone for our like sins or whatever. And you're like, partly, yes, I'm sure he believes that that's a genuine thing to do, and partly because they probably don't have enough food, and this is just their excuse to get around without telling the children we don't have enough
Exactly.
food.
He's too goddamn embarrassed to be
Exactly.
like, hey, oof, we got to figure something out. Instead, it's, you know what? Tomorrow, as a little treat, we'll all fast and think about thoughts.
Yeah, and think about what we've done, and
What a dick.
like, yeah, exactly. And that, well, this is just, a test, and it's like, right, but this is actively awful. Like, how do you expect this to get better if you're not doing anything to make it better? Like, there's that element of like, at some point you also have to step in and change your own life. So like, that's sort of like a more cerebral existential kind of take on that. But I do just sort of like the way we get there, and we had talked about it a little bit before, recording and stuff, of the storytelling and the setting and the characterization and all of that in the beginning, like really sort of all of that culminates into, the crux at the end of the movie, basically like the third act of like what actually happens here kind of a thing. But just seeing that the isolation and the paranoia and like dealing with really human emotions when you don't really have a way to deal with them other than just pray about it. Yeah, because it's like there's anger and grief and desperation and all of those sort of things. And like you said, the dad's too embarrassed to admit that he's fucking this up and that this is all his fault. And the mom's just trying to deal with her own shit because they've got 1,000 kids and 2 of them are fucking nuts. Like,
yeah,
there's just so much going on and there's no way to deal with it other than like, I don't know, you just have to fucking suck it up. Like, there's so much that leads to the like just chaos and the like insanity.
But yeah, I think Robert Eggers absolutely like is the standard for historical horror. Because, and I was actually thinking about this the whole time, not to completely jump subjects here, but when you read the Grady Hendrix book about like the teenage witches,
yeah,
and like the boarding school and all that stuff
for wayward girls,
there you go, that is also historical horror in my opinion, but does not get the balance right.
Absolutely. And I mean, historical fiction is a genre, so like we're not
historical
just
fiction is yes, but I'm saying specifically historical horror in this case. Okay.
Well, no, I'm just not saying like Robert Eggers didn't invent it. No. Like, we're definitely like, clearly that's the kitchen he's cooking in, which like, bless that man, let him cook. But no, absolutely. I think the difference here is that the fantastical elements played as much of a part in the story as any of the other elements did. Like, it was all very evenly weighted in terms of like, like you said, everything in this movie is real. It's not like, oh, is it just in her head? Like, so she hallucinating? Was it? Because you're like, okay, well, clearly dad says a couple of times that the mom hadn't slept since the baby had been taken. If they're not eating enough, like, that can fuck with you. So, like, there are physical conditions that you could justify, like, okay, somebody's hallucinating or just losing their fucking mind.
Not only that, my little babushka, one of the things that I learned was the scene when the crop that they're trying to grow and they're doing a shitty job of is corn.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where he's like holding the corn, like the ear of corn, and it looks fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that was like an affliction at the time was called ergot. And it was a fungus that grew on vegetables.
Okay.
And when you eat that, it can cause you to hallucinate. It can cause you to like freak out and all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
And so there has been a group of people who have said that that is the catalyst for the actual Salem witch trials.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Now, that being said, Robert Eggers did say, no, this is not like a get out of jail free card.
Right.
like, for that.
That's not just like explaining away what happened.
But he is making reference to it with that scene of like, So point being, I completely agree with you. One thing that I really like about this is, unlike The Shining, which is great, but Kubrick leaves it kind of gray.
Yeah.
Of like, are ghosts real? What? Because like, other than Jack Nicholson getting out of the freezer, everything in the movie could be explained away if need be, as like hallucinations or something like that. There's not really a ton of like ghost interacting
like
that has like
things.
tangible results. Because when you're like, oh, Danny's got like bruises on his neck. Oh, Jack Nicholson could have done that. Like,
yeah, and like we've also established that Jack beats the kid.
Right. So the movie plays with that sort of like, well, maybe there's ghosts, maybe there's not ghosts. Whereas The Witch is like, no, we're existing in a world where this is 100% real.
Yeah.
Because again, if it wasn't, we wouldn't see the baby get like fillet-o-fished. We wouldn't see that. It would just be like, oh, something happened.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that as well, because even though there is depth there, we're still going with like, by the way, we're not getting out of this as just like the family went crazy. Like,
yeah.
No. So what did you think about Caleb the horny brother?
I get that that's part of the, like, I mean, if we're leading into the 7 deadly sins theory that, like, somebody's gotta be. But I feel like he's a little young for that to me.
True.
That, like, they could have made him and Thomason a little closer in age for that to pan out. Just to be, like, less uncomfy.
I think Robert Eggers was doing that on purpose.
I know, I just don't like it.
I think if I sent him that clip just now of you going, yeah, I don't like it, I think he would be like, nailed it.
Yeah. I just don't like it.
He'd play like a little air horn. He'd be like, I got that one.
But, I mean, with anything, I think it was still handled tactfully because it wasn't so fucking over-the-top heavy-handed. Like, there's a scene where he's kind of, like, clearly trying to peek at Anya Taylor-Joy's non-existent cleavage. No offense, but Miss Girl does not have the titties.
Right.
At least not in, like, this loose, like, chiffon shift thing that she's wearing. So, like, you get, like, kind of a scene where, like, the camera's clearly like, he's trying to look down her dress. And then, obviously, once he's in the woods and finds the witch's cottage, and then she's like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm gonna eat this kid.
Right.
But thankfully, it wasn't worse than that. Because then I'd be like, we're entering very uncomfortable territory.
It never gets crass.
Exactly.
It gets very uncomfortable. And, again, with the second layer of this, like, taco dip, this is the result of isolating your family and being weirdly super religious.
Exactly.
Because now you're going with, oh, we've got all these taboos, which is causing, more acting out. And where else is he going to go?
Exactly. The kid's hormonal. It's human nature. Right. And you've got no one else to look at. Your mother.
Or his mom.
Yeah. That's it. He, rolled the Freudian dice and was like, all right, well, sister's better than mom. So.
And then same thing with...
The only scene I really feel it with the dad that I was like, weird, is when I think it's when he puts the goat in the pen and slips, and then the mom yells at her to, like, go wash the dad's clothes in the, like, creek. But she, like, Thomason is the one who, like, has to take his shirt off.
Yes.
That to me is very strange. I was like, he couldn't have just popped his tarp.
By the way,
like,
that's in the script.
Yeah.
So that's why the wife is like, hey man, what the fuck? Like, even though it's her suggestion. And again, Anya Taylor-Joy's, she's becoming a woman, and that's part of the conflict with her and her mom. Like, that kind of thing. So again, it's not handled like super gross or crass.
No, not at all.
But it's uncomfortable enough to go, this is why you need to know other people.
Yeah,
you can't just be just you.
Like, ooh, this is weird.
Yeah. And even when the second time Caleb is trying to sneak a peek down at the little watery brook, she kind of has like Anya Taylor-Joy kind of has like an understanding of it. She's not thrilled about it. She's not like, yippee! But she's like, hey, come on, man, what are we doing here? Like, she knows. But again, it's like, you've homeschooled all these kids.
Yeah.
And they got nowhere else to go. So I thought that was super gross and super uncomfortable, but I was like, this is fucking, he's cooking! It's just, bleh. This is my one thing I'm going to say. And this is not a slight against Sunray whatsoever. This is an unreasonable request. Could we have subtitles on?
I was going to say subtitles, because especially when Caleb gets like sick and possessed, and I'm like,
I have no clue what he said for the last
no
minute,
idea
though,
what the
screen
fuck
time.
he's saying.
Nope.
Yeah, like he gets weirdly sensual about Jesus, and like that's all I got. I was like, I didn't catch half of that, my guys. Between the accents and the old English prose, I was like, I would love it.
There's some intense scenes where I'm like, huh? And some scenes with the stupid kids are squawking about Black Phillip, and I'm like, huh? Like, there's a couple of those where I was like, God, I'd love subtitles right now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the kids.
Oh.
Jonas and Merce. Put them in the same bucket as the kid from Babadook. Just want to punch these kids. No, it was funny because at no point in the movie did I ever have the thought, well, this is kind of like The Crucible. Never crossed my mind. Even though it's like similar, setting, similar time frame, similar kind of idea of like, is witchcraft real or not, da-da-da-da-da. The only time I thought about it was when Caleb is dying and giving this weirdly sensual speech about Jesus.
Yeah.
And the two little kids are like selling out Thomason of like, oh, she's a witch, blah, blah, blah. And then like they start like having spasms and stuff like that and being little shits. Or being like, oh, I suddenly can't remember the Lord's Prayer, like that kind of shit. Which, don't get me wrong, you can explain that as, well, these two children have just been super traumatized.
Yeah.
So they don't know what the fuck's going on. Sure. But that was the part that reminded me of The Crucible, because that happens in the big court scenes, and all the girls are like, ah, and they're like all pointing out other members of the community, like, oh, there's a witch, I saw Goody Proctor, blah, blah, blah. And I remember reading that at the time when I was in like high school, and just being like, I want to roundhouse kick all of these girls, because you're just being an asshole.
Basically.
And I felt the same way about the kids. It's like, I want to roundhouse kick these kids.
Yeah.
Because you're just being assholes. Although, I get it. Struck me funny that no one thought it was weird that the kids, the little ones, like knew nursery rhymes about Black Phillip.
Well, they probably just assumed they made them up.
Right.
But that also speaks to, like, clearly they just, in general, weren't paying that much attention to it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because, like, they were always kind of just like, whatever. Like, at one point, you see them tied to a fence because they keep fucking running around. Yeah,
I
like,
fucking can't deal with it.
we've got a lot of other bigger fish to fry than to worry about the weird fucking chiding kids.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, if you thought about it for more than 10 minutes, you'd be like, how the hell do these kids know this?
Oh, yeah. No, and
They're not meeting anyone else. They're not.
the irony is that they still blame Thomason after the kids have exuded the weirdest fucking behavior.
Yeah.
Like, the kids are nightmares, period. The kids are obsessed with the fucking goat.
Period.
And then, yeah, like, when Caleb's sick, the kids don't pray, but Thomason does.
Right. Which should be the test.
Exactly. She joins mom and dad in the prayer. The kids don't. They're, like, speaking in tongues and, like, having seizures at one point. And you're like, but you don't think that that's fucking weird? Like, fuck them kids.
How would you put this up against Eggers' Nosferatu?
I feel like, I don't want to be like, oh, Nosferatu was, like, the greatest thing ever. But, like, it was really fucking good. But I think in terms of, like, more tangibles, like, I think we tell more story in Nosferatu because so much of The Witch is, like, world building and setup and characterization. The, like, meat and potatoes essentially don't really happen until the third act.
That's true.
Because it builds, and, like, that's on purpose. Like, obviously that's very intentional, but I felt like the pacing in Nosferatu was a lot more balanced in that regard of, like, you know what you need to know, and now we've hit the ground running, and let's fucking go.
And obviously you get a lot more, like, settings and a lot more characters and all that stuff in Nosferatu. This, it's like, we get to the sad farm, and we're just at the sad farm.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of that speaks to, you know, just the tone of the film, like their isolation, like we're also stuck there with them, like there's not like there's other people. But I do think Nosferatu is a bit of an easier watch in terms of like if it's just on, you're like, oh great. Whereas The Witch, it's like you kind of have to be committed to watching it. Like,
It certainly helps.
yeah.
It certainly helps. What did you feel? Okay, so let me ask about, like, we're gonna have some girl talk here. What are we thinking about the vibe of The Witch, the actual Witch in the Woods? Like, both.
The flattest ass.
Yeah.
They picked a woman whose ass is rhombus.
Oh.
I was like, really? Like, and I get the dichotomy because, like, you see the witch, like, kind of, like, ugly in the beginning when she's, like, fillet fishing the baby. And then later when Caleb sees her in the woods, like, she's young and beautiful. Because, like, clearly that's part of the shtick. Like, that's why we're, you know, slathering on baby oil, literally.
Oh, wow.
you. I thought that was really good.
Okay.
But yeah, just so much of that woman's ass. And I was like, hey, we didn't need that. But like, hell yeah, bitch, get it. Like, who wouldn't want to live in a fucking red cottage in the woods and not be bothered?
Well, I mean, and like Black Phillip just likes hanging out with bad bitches, I guess.
Yeah, it was like, you get woodland friends, you get a rabbit, you get the goat. Like, fuck yeah, man.
So you have made merchandise at various points of like a good for her kind of vibe, and
Yeah.
Anya Taylor-Joy in this film is usually included in that. So I want to go into a little bit of detail as to what is your PowerPoint presentation of like what makes this, or at least her character, fit in that good for her genre bucket.
Well, definitely in the, like, as the oldest daughter, you get to take a lot of shit.
Yep.
You know, basically, she's also mothering the other kids, and especially after Samuel gets taken, mom's just grief-stricken and useless to the world, and it's like, okay, great, but, like, you've got a handful of other kids that you have to be responsible for, babe. Like, get your shit together. So there's that, and then the irony of her being accused at every turn when she genuinely was not the one at fault.
Right.
You know, at one point, she has this altercation with the dad, and she's like, hey, like, I've had to take the blame for shit that you did because you wouldn't.
You hung me up to dry.
Yeah, like, he just let her take the rap for it when it was like, no, that wasn't me. Like, I didn't do this shit. You know, and the twins being absolute fucking assholes. And, like, genuinely, there's a lot of weird shit that happens on the farm. You know, at one point, she goes to milk one of the goats, and it's just blood, and the corn's fucked, and one of the eggs is fucked. Like, there's a lot of those kind of, like, biblical crops are failing kind of signs that go like, hey, this is not working out well for y'all. But she gets to take the heat on a lot of that kind of stuff. And like, it's not, and she's traumatized by that, but she doesn't get to process it or be comforted because, well, Samuel disappeared with you and Caleb disappeared in the woods with you, and then you brought him back fucked up, so that's your fault. Like, fuck you. She genuinely did not do anything. And yet they still fucking blamed her for it. But the family, including the children, definitely get their comeuppance in that regard.
True.
And then, yeah, she just gets to live a better fucking life. Because even with everybody else dead, the farm wasn't doing well
Anyway.
with fully staffed.
Right.
Yeah, fully functional. So it's not like she could run it on her own. And there was just nothing better for her in this life. If she had managed to make it back into the town, she would have to either try to pretend that all of this didn't happen or explain what happened, which good luck for that.
Right.
And then what? She was just going to be a maid or an indentured servant until she gets married off? Like,
that was the best shot she had.
Exactly. Like, miserable. So more just, you know, dealing with bullshit that isn't necessarily hers to deal with. Awful. And yeah, at the end, Black Phillip's like, hey, wouldn't you rather have, like, a better fucking life? And she's like, you know what? I absolutely fucking would. Thank you.
You know what? I deserve it.
Yes, she did. She fucking earned that. Like, good for you, girly pop. Like, get it.
Yeah.
Go be fucking rad in the wood with other bitches. Like, enjoy it.
You mentioned the weird things on the farm. That is one of those things, again, like the Shining thing. It's not in a, the shitty things that happen to the family outside of the baby being stolen. I love that so much of it could be they're just shitty at this.
Exactly.
Or it's witchcraft. I like that.
Yeah, and it's easy to see how they point to witchcraft and versus, well, we're just not good at this. But, like, I think a lot of it was genuinely just they're not good at this.
Well, yeah, because it's like, oh, the corn sucks. Well, you picked a shitty area to set up a farm. Oh, the egg, blah, blah, blah. The egg had like a dead chick in it. It's like, okay, you're not doing a great job raising the hens. Like, oh, I went to shoot the rabbit to help feed the family and the gun misfired. Did the bunny do that? Maybe, but also maybe you suck at hunting.
Exactly. Like, maybe you were in a rush and
he
was panicking. Yeah, and he didn't set it up properly. And also the rifle's 8 feet fucking long.
Yeah. But it's like all these things, all these events that are horrible for this family. It's just the deck continuously being stacked against them. But I love that so many of those moments are like, hey man, that was the consequence of life back then. That is just how cards got dealt sometimes. Or it's fucking witchcraft. And I think that's really interesting because it doesn't hurt the story either way.
Yeah.
You can, as a viewer, you can pick and choose which elements you think are a witch and which aren't. And it's okay. It's not going to hurt the movie either way.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's really interesting, you know, because, yeah, it's like you could either look at the film as They move in, they encroach on a living witch's wooded area.
Mhm.
And this is her breaking the family down, torturing them, and killing them as like, how dare you encroach on my space.
And do it poorly.
Right. Or it's just, hey man, life during the Puritan time was fucking terrible. Because when the mom and dad are having the conversation while all the children are awake, the mom is freaking out like, we're going to starve. Like, we have to go back to town and basically beg forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because we're going to starve. And the dad's like, no, shut up, we'll be fine. Because he's prideful.
Not fine.
And, that was life. Life was like, hey, you don't make your shit up. Your whole family's dead. So what I'm trying to say is there are plenty of movies, plenty of horror movies that decide to go, oh, we're going to do like a period piece, usually due to like budget or like.
These were the costumes we found.
Right. Like, opportunity. Oh, we found an old-timey hotel that'll let us film here. So I guess this is going to be a film in the 20s now or whatever. But with Eggers, like I said, the timing, the setting, how life is at this time, how historically accurate it is all part of that real, like, it really means something in this context and helps build the story as opposed to just be like, I don't know, we had this basic story we were going to tell, we decided to get a little fancy with it. That kind of thing.
Well, and as with anything, it's really the main differentiator of having something in the hands of somebody who gives a shit.
100%.
Because it's just like every useless sequel that just gets made is a cash grab because there's nobody at the helm who either cares or like genuinely has a story to tell. It's just, well, Disney said we need to make another Hocus Pocus movie, so damn it, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Versus somebody who's done the research and is putting in the effort and is actively building this world because they give a shit about it and the story that they're trying to tell. And I feel like that we saw the preview for Frankenstein for Guillermo del Toro, and I feel like both Eggers and del Toro, who love a good period piece, but I feel like both of them give so much of a shit that they are just absolute masterpieces. Like, they're beautiful, and even though, like, with this one, the costuming is so much more simple because it's very, like, Puritan-esque, but everything is very true to form. And like you said, it's not, garish, and the moments that you're supposed to feel uncomfortable in, like, it's so much more subtle, but like everything is so intentional.
Yes.
And that really adds to every element of it, whether it be just like the social, political, religious construct of it, or the actual like lesson, quote unquote, to be learned of like, hey man, just fucking live your best life. Live deliciously.
Then there you go.
Like, the fucks. And it's because Eggers gives a shit.
And I think it goes back to sort of the mission statement of this show and our sort of philosophy on film is let the director cook. Mm-hmm. But also it has to be a director who is willing to put on the chef hat. Yes. That I think is a big point too. But like, give interesting directors space to cook. Whether that be Robert Eggers, whether that be Stanley Kubrick, whether that be Guillermo del Toro, whether that be John Woo. You just give them the proper space and ability to cook, and chances are they're going to make something at least noteworthy. Maybe not great, maybe not awful, but at least noteworthy.
Yeah, and especially in like bigger studio productions, it feels like it's becoming a rarity when you have somebody who has genuine artistic vision for something like that, that isn't just another rinse and repeat superhero movie or whatever summer blockbuster, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's definitely a place for those, it's every, ice cream flavor, whatever.
Right.
But just trust the people to do their jobs, I guess, which is like a crazy concept to most people. But when you have somebody with that kind of like drive and vision and like such a clear idea of what they want to portray and how they want to portray it, just fucking let them do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing I'll say is I think this film is casted as well as it possibly could be. And I only say that because, dealing with kid actors and shitty goats is tough.
Animal actors.
Yeah. But, it almost, and maybe this could just be like, Zach, you're an idiot who's uncultured. But like, this is obviously Anya Taylor-Joy's like first big role. She's like 18 when she's making this movie. But all the actors and actresses involved in this, it reminds me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre in terms of like, you didn't get Brad Pitt to play the dad and whomever. You didn't pick like big actors.
Yeah.
You picked people who look like they could have lived at that time.
Exactly.
And that goes a
Nicole
long
Kidman
way.
isn't the mom.
Right.
Like,
even though, don't get me wrong, I think it should be great, but as soon as you'd see Nicole Kidman, you'd be like, all right, we're watching a movie.
yeah, like part of that does take you out of it. Whereas with this, it feels very, like, even the characters feel very lived in.
The dad alone, his face looks like it's carved out of like, mashed potatoes. It's just like, he's just so interesting and it looks like he's lived a hard life kind of thing. Everybody's hands are really gross. Like, it goes a long way, and not to just like fall into like, well, we're going to get, because Nosferatu kind of does that. We have some bigger named actors.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But they do a good job.
Yeah.
But this one, I think it really pays off to go with like what I would consider more unknown actors, because it helps drive that realism, and you're not taken out by going like, oh my God, it's, the witch fillet of fishing a baby is played by Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like, oh my God, it's amazing. Whatever. He would have been great.
His ass would have been less square.
It's slightly. Also, apparently with that scene in the beginning with her square ass, apparently people have been really fucked up about the strand of hair that's like by her butt.
I thought it was a shadow.
No, it's like part of her hair, because it's all it's all...
No, I know, but I thought it was a shadow of a tree branch from like whatever lighting source we've got.
Her hair, and people have been like super weirded out about it. And Robert Eggers didn't explicitly say, but he was like, maybe the CGI guys maybe worked on that to cover up the panty line of like the modesty undies or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
I was like, hey, okay, fine. She got hair by her butt. Who cares?
Yeah,
She's gooping herself up. We got bigger things to worry about.
She's gooping herself up.
And on that, we hope that you're gooping yourself up listening to this show. And thank you so much for tuning in and listening to BrainBuster Video, the podcast. Thanks again to Luna for joining me on the show for hosting duties. And now, a couple of last-minute announcements. First of all, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the BrainBuster Video Patreon. We've got special secret club member information and deals. We've got different subscription tiers where you can get a new release every month or found tape. There's all kinds of brainstorming and exclusive content over there. And you get to listen to this podcast early. So BrainBuster Video on Patreon is number one. Number two, there are now numerous physical locations to pick up our titles all across America. Florida and New York and the Carolinas and Oregon and all types of different places that you could be picking up stuff in person in addition to ordering online. So check out our social media to see all the spots that you can visit. And finally, the Halloween mixtape for this year is now available in our shops. So if you need something weird and wonderful to put on during your Halloween party, then visit brainbuster.video and order it now. So thank you all once again for listening and participating. And for everybody here, I'm Zach Romero. And do me a favor, continue circulating the tapes. Thank you. And get gooped.
Get gooped and gagged.
Gooped.